How's it going, everybody? K Jewelers here, and wow, I really don't know how to start off this video, but we managed to hit 10,000 subscribers on the channel a couple days ago, and I am completely blown away. This was something I certainly did not expect to happen when I started making videos consistently back in 2019, but here we are. Like I said, it's just kind of surreal. I've put a lot of time and effort into making these videos over all this time, but even then, really all of it is because of you guys. And so I want to say thank you so much, because it's just with all your support, you guys watching the videos, coming to the channel, and just being able to talk with all of you guys, it's been such a wonderful experience and something that I really can't take for granted, honestly. It's just being able to create content on things I love. Just making videos has been something I've always wanted to do, and to just nerd out about my favorite games and stories and all that, and for people with similar thoughts and interests just to come, watch the videos, and talk with them, it's amazing. So thank you guys so much, I really do appreciate it. But as a little bit of a celebration, I figured it would be fun to do a Q&A video. I've never really done one of these before, but I asked people on Twitter as well as YouTube just for a random slew of questions that I could answer in a potential video. And I just want to say, I'm not going to be able to answer every single question, and some of them actually touch upon the same topic, so if your question does not show up in here, please do not take that as any offense. But hopefully I'm able to address some that you guys have been curious about yourself, and just some funny ones. I saw a couple as I was going through that I thought would be pretty fun. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. My good buddy Scran asks, would you rather fight one human-sized duck or 100 duck-sized humans? Okay, so this was a big debate we had about one human-sized duck versus, I think, 50 duck-sized humans. And in that situation, I would 100% want to throw hands with the duck-sized humans, right? They're kind of tiny. You know, they have more brain power, but I think I could take them. But 100, that's an aggressive amount. I don't think 100 is nearly as possible. And maybe it's just because I've been watching a lot of Urban Rescue Ranch and Kevin the Rhea, but I think I'd rather fight the one human-sized duck. However, that's not to say that is going to be an easy fight. Actually, far from it. AMTZX asks, what class do you teach in school? I wouldn't be surprised if it was English or literature because of your videos. You would be correct. I actually teach English to juniors and seniors in high school. Now before this, when I was in grad school, I was teaching Intro to College Writing as well as technical communication courses. But yeah, I've switched gears to that and working on the high school level now. This question comes from Cool Dude or SMTV_XB2 on Twitter. Do you enjoy being so closely associated with the Xeno community, or can it be a bit of a double spinning edged sword? I like what you did there. For you, at least in regards to what you feel your audience would respond to for future videos. So yes, I definitely am making Xenoblade videos because, I want to do that. I really love the Xenoblade series, and definitely there's some times where I feel like I need that passion to get re-sparked on why I love it, because I'm kind of just staring at the same cutscenes over and over again. But I do genuinely love making content on this series, and there's so much to talk about. I feel like I could just keep going with it. Now, that being said, I definitely wanted to make it clear when I was first starting to make content regularly and picking up traction that I was not strictly Xenoblade. As much as I love Xenoblade, there are a bunch of other series I love just as much. And so I figured that if I only did Xenoblade, I would get a little sick of it. But also, I just feel like I wouldn't be me. So the way that I've always kind of viewed my channel was, yes, I primarily do Xenoblade content, but there's also a large focus on just video game narratives and well-written characters, dissecting them as well. And I think the goal of every, or at least most content creators out there, is for people to want to come and watch your videos, not just because of the topic you're discussing, but because they want to be there for you. They want to hear what you're saying, they want to be there for your personality, so on and so forth. Now, this isn't always realistic, right? I think every content creator knows that there's usually something that they're kind of associated with. That's what's going to be what people are going to come view for the most part. And I would say for me, that is definitely Xenoblade. But I am very fortunate in that when I do make content on other stuff, I've made Pokemon, Zero Escape content, the Paper Mario video that did extremely well. They actually do fairly well in terms of how they're received and views and everything, which I'm greatly fortunate to have that experience. I know that that other content creators don't have that. Now, does this mean that I'm going to stop doing Xenoblade content anytime soon? Hell no. No, I do not have any plans to do that, but I am going to keep doing me, and I'm going to keep making content on other game series, and there's a bunch of others that I really want to do. I haven't done Metal Gear yet, and that's one of my favorite stories in video games. I haven't done Mega Man. So yeah, that is a very good question, and one that could honestly be an entire video if I'm being real. Oello Mortem Tyrannus on Twitter asks, do any of your students in school know about your YouTube channel? Yes they do. Honestly, they've been very cool about it, which is, I greatly appreciate that. I did try to keep it on the down low for a bit, just because, I like to kind of try and keep that stuff personal, and I was afraid of generally, hey, students find it, start spreading, where does it go from there? But it was kind of funny, one of my students came up to me and was just like, yeah, so I was watching this Pokemon Black and White video, and I heard this voice and it sounded familiar, and then I saw you. And I'm like, that's my cousin Kyle, that is not me. Kevlar Chronicles 3, or Giganth, sorry, I am probably going to butcher a lot of names when I'm going through this, but just bear with me. They ask, what inspired you to start making videos? I've really always wanted to create stuff. I've always been kind of an artsy person. I did a lot of drawing when I was younger, and it kind of just evolved into high school when my brother got me a microphone, and I was kind of inspired by a lot of creators at the time. I watched a lot of Chugga Conroy's videos. I love those Let's Plays, just going through those, as well as Nintendo Capri Sun. And so, yeah, my first couple attempts were just really crappy Let's Plays. Mega Man 4, Sonic 2, Majora's Mask, and yeah, they just were not good.
And he puts all of his effort into it. Yeah, that's total suck there, I'm sorry.
But I was definitely inspired by them. But I just really liked that idea of being able to talk with people, show my passion for these games, and to find like-minded people, and, maybe share some information that people weren't aware of. I'm gonna assume that this is Clues, or Claus, but I think it's Clues, asks, what was your life like before YouTube? Well, I mean, it's kind of weird. It makes me feel like, oh, you're a star, but I would say it's typically the same, right? It's just that most of my time is now dedicated to working on videos, while before it was definitely playing games or hanging out with friends. I mean, when I first started making videos, I was in grad school. So even then, I had moved away from a decent amount of my friends, but definitely when I started getting on the grind, I didn't go visit my hometown to see them as much, just because, I wanted to get the video done and start working on it. So there were definitely some sacrifices in terms of free time, but it really wasn't too much different. I honestly think that the biggest struggle now is that I find it difficult to sit down and play through single player games, normally because I kind of have to mentally prep myself for some of these story-based ones, when I'd rather just kind of take it easy after everything that's been going on in the day, or I'd rather work on a video, or socialize with my friends, so I play a multiplayer game. Chipsers asks, what do you do as a job and have those skills transferred over to making videos? I've heard you're a teacher, but I'm unsure for the most part. Yeah, as I said earlier, I teach English right now at the high school level, and I would definitely say those skills transfer over, even more so when I taught those college courses on writing. It just really helped in order to build and form my scripts that I use for the videos, because I pretty much do script out most of my videos. And just getting that experience of just writing a new script every couple weeks, and usually on average the scripts are between 8 to 12 pages, which is it's kind of a lot, it adds up, but I would definitely say that helps. And as for on the high school level, yeah, I would definitely say so as well. I mean, you gotta imagine, right, with making content and as a teacher, in both situations, you're working with an audience. So you gotta know, again, how to engage with them, how to give them information, but also how to make it fun. So I think those are really important to keep in mind. Creepers asks, how did you get to know all the other Xenoblade YouTubers like Enel and Xenobits? It's actually probably a lot more simple than you'd think. For everybody, it's kind of a different story, but a decent amount of them I just kind of reached out to via a DM, and I went, hey, my name is Kevin or K Jewelers, nice to meet you. You want to be on an episode of Minato Air? Or just another video that we're doing. And one of the great things from this is just when you start talking. I hold a lot of stock for being able to just have a chill conversation and not really worry about like what I'm saying as much. It's just, conversation flows naturally. And luckily I've been able to have that with a lot of people. And so I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, Jason Hayes asks, out of all the Xeno games, who's best girl? This is a really hard question. Because there's a lot of great characters and there are a lot of great girls in Xenoblade. So the thing about me is I kind of have a natural attraction to redheads. So immediately Pyra comes to mind there. I also just think that Pyra's character, while it's not incredibly complex, it honestly gets overshadowed by Mithra. I think there's actually a lot of good things going on with Pyra. And on a more surface level, I just like how kind she is, but she can also have her little snarky remarks like the "I don't have a knife." Now, if we're talking best boy, you already know it's Dumban. That's my guy right there. I love Dumban. Foot fell asleep. Foot is definitely asleep. Okay. Alright, in pain. Somebody cue Numb by Linkin Park. 10-2 Knock asks, what are your favorite video game songs and or soundtracks of all time? Oh my gosh, there are so many to pick from. I actually figured it might be fun to do kind of a top 10 soundtrack video, but I would say some of my favorites, Pokemon Black and White. I have such an emotional and nostalgic connection to that soundtrack. I feel like it covers all the bases I want, and it's really powerful. It's stuck with me a lot. Of course, Zelda is just phenomenal. Zelda's soundtracks are amazing. If I had to pick one, I would probably say Majora's Mask. That's a big question mark. That's a hard one to just pick one Zelda soundtrack. But I think at the top of the list is probably Xenoblade or Pokemon Black and White. It kind of just depends on the day. Polarcon asks, what is a game you like we probably wouldn't expect you to like? I think a lot of people typically associate me with more Nintendo-like franchises, Xenoblade, Pokemon, Zelda, I mean even Mega Man and Zero Escape to an extent, but I actually really like to keep up with games just on all of the different consoles. But one series that I have always loved that might surprise a lot of you is Gears of War. I'm a big fan of the original Gears of War trilogy. I thought 4 was good, but it didn't really grab me as much, and I still need to finish 5. But the original Gears of War trilogy, you might look at it and think, oh, it's just dude bro shooter, and yeah, I mean, it is a lot of dude bro shooter for sure, but there's actually a lot of great characterization and a good story. It's not super complex, but it really does a good job of pulling at the heartstrings at some moments, and there's pretty good music. I actually sneaked the Locust theme from Gears 1 into some of my videos. The gameplay just feels very tight. Gears of War 3 was one of the greatest multiplayer experiences I've ever had with a game. We used to play that every weekend back in high school. But yeah, I love Gears of War, especially Gears of War 3. And I like Halo too, but I think people are maybe a little bit more familiar with that. Traitorous Intoner Zero asks, what do you think the Xenoblade series is about? Philosophy. Yeah, this is kind of a deep question. If I were to say generally speaking, beyond just, big robots and religious references, I think it's about finding your own meaning in life. One of my favorite things in the series comes from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 when Shulk and Fiora are talking at the very end, and they say, it doesn't matter if we can't see the future, because that just means that we're gonna have surprises, and life's little surprises are what make life exciting. Rex saying, finding a way to move forward, to make people happy, those are what hit me. Santiago Gutierrez asks, favorite rare blade? Outside of just the main story-based blades, I would probably say Ursula. Now, I know a lot of people are like, but the affinity chart, and I know, it's horrendous, right? It's tragic, but I think she's got a cute design, and I love the fact that she just has this giant polar bear with her at all times that's just really happy to be there. It's really wholesome, and I just like how she, wants to, perform for other people. It's really nice. Aside from that, I'd probably say Zenobia. She was my first rare blade, and just the buffs that she gives against bosses and everything is just, it's so good. Vlukius, or Vlukius? I'm gonna go with that. What are your favorite type of sandwiches? This is something that I haven't said in any of my videos, but I'm actually a very picky eater. So I don't eat that many sandwiches. I'll make a chicken sandwich or throw some other lunch meats in there. But honestly, I kind of just want to gravitate towards the old classic peanut butter sandwich, Rock asks, top 3 favorite Xenoblade songs. So this is something I actually will probably convert into a top 10 video at some point. But at the current moment in time, I would have to say, Once We Part Ways from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I love that song. Engage the Enemy from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and Drifting Soul from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Tape says, congratulations! Thank you. I've got 2 questions. What is your favorite Xenoblade location? Mine is Uriah. And what color is your toothbrush? Well, my favorite Xenoblade location is Valak Mountain. Just the nighttime variant looks so beautiful. As for what color is my toothbrush? What color is my toothbrush? Trunk asks, was there a specific game or creator who shaped or inspired your analysis videos in the way they're edited or written? For my analysis videos, I would say that Zeltic, he does Zelda videos, some Fury videos, some discussion videos. He constructs them very well. I was watching a lot of his videos around the time, and I think those definitely rubbed off on me in terms of how they're presented. I'd like to inject those live action skits in there as well. I feel like probably a little bit of Angry Video Game Nerd or Scott the Woz got sent into the mix there as well. But I feel like mostly for the scripts, I kind of just write what I'm thinking. Leah, the animation fan, asks, what made you want to be a teacher? What subject and age group do you teach? So I kind of answered the second question earlier, but the first question, I actually had no intention to be a teacher originally. I had actually worked in museums when I was in college, and so when I went on to grad school, I originally was expecting to be working in the campus museum there. However, they had somebody else in the position that they said was going to get cleared away in about a semester or a year. And while we were waiting for that, they said that in order to, make the assistantship work, that I could teach. So I thought I was going to be like a teacher's assistant or something, just in the classroom with a professor. No. They kind of just threw us to the sharks, and we were just in charge of teaching the class in its entirety. And so it just kind of kept going from there, and here we are today. The one and only Lindy Boy asks, how do you feel about the artistic direction the games are heading in? Do you think there is any one way the Xenoblade formula can be improved upon in a meaningful way? If so, what would it be? First off, I'm going to interpret that artistic direction here is in reference to just kind of the general scheme of the series and presentation rather than just aesthetically. And if that's the case, then yeah, I feel pretty confident in the direction the series is taking. Albeit there are a couple concerns I have, but that's primarily just tied to the fact that Future Connected really didn't leave that much of an impression on me. I kind of like the idea of leaving stories alone if the ending feels complete and personally satisfying, which the original Xenoblade Chronicles did. That's not to say that you can't have other games, but maybe you don't exactly have to do more with those characters after that story. And Future Connected, with my opinion of it, didn't really warrant that epilogue to exist. So I'm really hoping that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will justify Future Connected being a thing, as well as them expanding upon the ending of Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, if there is something that I think the Xenoblade Chronicles series could improve upon with future entries, it would definitely be the humor. I'm personally of the opinion that the biggest issue that plagues the Xenoblade Chronicles game is their very inconsistent comedic writing, and I don't necessarily think that's a fault of the localization team. I think they're doing the best with the material they're given. It's just the source material is a little bit flawed in its execution. Now, when the games do try to do subtle or quick humor, I think of Nagi's intense stare down from Xenoblade X, or Zeke's I've been waiting here for 3 days. I think they do a really good job with that. Those get a good laugh out of me. But it's when they decide to dedicate most of, if not an entire cutscene to a joke, that I think they drop the ball. I don't think it's every single one, but normally those ones like Mithra Sleepwalking, Pyrus Too Heavy, Tatsu in its entirety, they just feel like they're trying too hard, and I think that's the issue. But at the end of the day, humor is subjective, and I mean, the fans have been pretty good about continuing the longevity of some of the jokes, or for better or for worse. I mean, the Ardanian soldiers are definitely a big influence of the fans, and Fyagu is kind of single-handedly responsible for a good amount of the humor that comes out of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 in the form of memes, so that's definitely the thing that I would like to see some improvement from, and there's a lot more to be said on it, but I don't want to dwell on this for too long. Megabyte Musician asks, what are you most looking forward to about Xenoblade Chronicles 3? I think the soundtrack is definitely the thing I'm looking the most forward to. Xenoblade always just kills it every single time, and of course I want to see all the crazy plot twists and character relationships and everything, but that music is gonna do some stuff, right? And usually a good video game soundtrack is what gets me coming back to it in the first place. Cristiano asks, what did you like mostly in school? English and reading are definitely the areas I feel like I've had the most focus in my life in school, but my favorite classes were actually my Latin classes. So I actually graduated from college with a Bachelor of Arts in Classical Studies. So I worked a lot with Greek and Roman history, their languages, and I also did it throughout all of high school. And I had amazing teachers that certainly rubbed off on me in terms of how I end up teaching my classes, and it's just fun, just learning about that history, seeing how the language connects, and seeing even those influences you kind of realize now in video games and where they've taken them. Coming from Alistair, do you have any thoughts, interest in the Silent Hill series, specifically 2? You know, as a Metal Gear fan, that our life is just pain and suffering as our favorite series die off, so I'm with you every step of the way. I've actually never played Silent Hill 2, but I do know a couple things about it. I know it is very well loved, but it is a game that I'll probably want to check out here at some point, right? From Orange Potato, what part of video creation is your favorite? I think a lot of people would probably answer at the very end of the process, not just because, oh god, it's done. Yeah, sometimes you feel fatigued, but just being able to see everything you put into it in its finished state, that final product feels really good. As for the process itself, I would definitely say the early stages of editing the visuals in. That's when I start getting those ideas that come to mind, because a lot of jokes don't really come in the script writing process. They actually come when I'm editing. And it's just really fun seeing those little edits come together, and sometimes like, oh, that, you know, I'm pretty proud of how that came out. Definitely the most difficult part of the process is the script writing part, in my opinion. I definitely do enjoy it at times, but there's nothing worse than just having writer's block, and you just can't think of how to keep going with a script, because that just kills the pacing of the rest. Because editing, for the most part, you know what general direction you want to go with it, it's just doing it. Script writing, I don't really want to write if it doesn't feel natural. This one comes from XXPitXX, or just Pit. Besides Xeno and Zero Escape, 10 favorite video game franchises. Like, not a top, just mentioning series you like. Actually gonna hold off on giving a full 10, just because I want to do a video on this in the future. But just to rattle off a couple series that just kind of come to the dome right now, Zelda is my favorite series of all time, love Pokemon, Metal Gear, Mega Man, and yeah, I think those are kind of the big ones that immediately jump out to me. Xenobrub asks, how'd you come up with your username? So, K Jewelers is actually a pun on, well, not just the jewelry store, but also my own name. My name is Kevin Julian, so we kind of just take the K from Kevin and then the jewelers from Julian there. You combine the two, and yeah, that gets the name. This actually came from back in high school. I would drive my friend home as well as his brothers, and one of his brothers went, yo, K Jewelers. And then some of my friends in college would call me K or K Jules and so on and so forth. So it just kind of caught on from there. Luma's question is, what is your favorite anime? This is a toss-up between two. So Dragon Ball Z has been near and dear to my heart for years at this point. I love Dragon Ball. There are definitely flaws with it, but just the heart is there. I love the characters. I love the fight scenes, but I also just love the character relationships. I love Goku and Vegeta's character dynamic so much, and that would probably explain the Cell profile picture that I probably should have changed a long time ago, but I'm kind of just rocking with it now. But the other series that is rising up to claim the title very quickly is Attack on Titan. I absolutely adore Attack on Titan. I think that this show, in terms of narrative presence, is brilliant. The character writing is so good. The music, of course, it's Sawano, Xenoblade X, it's incredible. There are times where I just pause, I go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're referencing that, or that they were laying this foundation all the way back here in Season 1 or in the beginning. That being said, I am an anime only, I have not read the manga, so please do not spoil me. And I've heard people's thoughts about the ending, I just don't know anything about what goes on. I'm really interested to see how the anime is going to wrap up. And I think for now, that about takes care of it. Once again, thank you guys so much for submitting questions. These were a lot of fun to just go through and to answer. Hopefully it was a good listen for you all. As for what to expect from the channel in the next couple months, there are a couple analyses on my master list that I'm going through and scripting, and yeah, of both the Xenoblade and non-Xenoblade variety, so I hope you're looking forward to those. Once again, thank you guys so much for 10,000 subscribers. It's absolutely crazy to me, but even then, I feel like there's still so much more room to see what we can possibly do here on the channel, and I'm really excited about that. On that note, take care everyone, and until next time.